Hello everyone, and welcome to another beer review. Now, today we're going to do a Fuller's product, and yeah, it's a bit of a strange one, because I don't know what Fuller's is actually trying to do about this, because I have been checking, and I haven't seen it, even in any of their kind of vintage ales. But today we're going to be doing Fuller's Honeydew Organic Golden Ale. And that's the thing I've got the problem with, is the organic bit. Because I don't know what Fuller's is actually trying to do by saying organic. Because they all say that they use the finest ingredients, all the breweries do. But then I start to wonder, then, which is better? The finest ingredients or organic ingredients? And if they all use organic ingredients, and Fuller's especially right now, because I don't see it mentioned in any other of their beers on the labels and things like that, and any of the bump, but this one has. So does that mean that the rest of the time they don't use organic ingredients? And if that's the case, which is better, non-organic ingredients or organic ingredients? And if it's organic ingredients and other beers don't have that, so when they say they're using the fine ingredients, well, obviously they're not really, because at the end of the day, the ingredients they're using are non-organic. So the best ingredients are supposed to be the organic ones, which if they're not using them, then they're not using the finest ingredients then. So they're either lying that way, or there's no really any difference between the organic ingredients and the non-organic ingredients, so what's the point of putting organic on it, because it means nothing. So again, it's just marketing piss. So either they're lying on this label or they're lying on the rest of the labels. So which is it? Is it the finest ingredients or isn't it? And that's the thing that kind of gets me, and that's why I said I don't give a shit if somebody starts coming out with bollocks on the labels, then I'll go after them. And I'm going after Fuller's in this one, because what is it? I mean, you're trying to kind of bump up this ale to try and kind of organically produced, refreshing golden ale. It's everywhere. And then I'm starting to think, well, wait a minute here. Just out of curiosity, I've got a Fuller box here. Right, let's just check it. Oh, God. Why are you sitting up the arsehole? Get down. Fucking nonsense. Right, I'll just pull one out. Oh. Here we go, 2019. Don't see anything to do with, you see anything organic on that label? I don't see any of that crap. So without anything on that, Jesus, let's just get to this. Yeah, nothing. 8.5%. As with every vintage ale, blah blah blah, it is natural sediment, all that. No mention of organic ingredients whatsoever. None of it. So in the vintage ale, which is their kind of more kind of premium ale, and that's not supposed to be listed as organic, then why are they not using organic? This is the thing. If it's better, and if it's not any better than the normal stuff they use, then what's the point of putting it on this label? So what the hell are you playing at? What is it? Is it lie on this side or lie on that side? Because something smells of shit. So yeah, get your fucking act together. I'm quite actually disappointed with Fuller's. Don't start coming out with this fucking nonsense. There's enough fucking bullshit and lies in this industry without the good breweries starting to fucking do it and all. Because you can fucking stop that nonsense. Oh, don't get me fucking started. See all this shit. Organic this and the finest ingredients and that. And I've said this before. You need to, you want to use the finest ingredients. Well, you can't use them properly then, because your beer tastes of shit. You know, it's like that kind of scenario. Because if you're all using the fine ingredients and you're fucking brew masters and you all know what you're doing, then why is there so much crap beer in this world then? Why is not every bottle we open just a cornucopia of joy and taste and flavour and wonderfulness? But it isn't. You're sitting there thinking, finding a good beer is quite difficult. But they're all experts and so knowledgeable and wonderful. And they all use the finest ingredients. Oh, no expense spared. And you read all this crap in the label and you're thinking, well, if that's the case, why is there so many shitty beers? You know, it's a normal question and quite a natural one on that. Because they all say they use the finest ingredients. They all basically claim, oh, this ingredient's brilliant and that ingredient's brilliant. Well, here's the honest answer is, there's more liars in the beer industry than there is good beers. So there's your problem. Too many liars, too much bullshit in the label, and not enough good beers in the bottle. That's the thing. Organic golden ale. Don't give you a pish. Seriously. Oh. Anyway, it's 5%. It's 500ml. And I got this on sale. They're offering, what are they offering? 20% off or something like that. I can't remember. 20, 25, 30%, something like that. I'll say it anyway. But so yes, I got 2 8-packs, so 16 bottles. So I did. Still got a few of them left actually. But yes, the organic thinking annoyed me. I don't know what that's about. But anyway, Honeydew is the UK's leading organically produced ale, naturally brewed using organic honey, malts and hops. So it's organic honey, malts and hops. So I presume that it's the malts and hops are both organic as well, which it is. This creates a refreshing golden beer with subtle honey flavours balanced by a deliciously zesty edge. There you go. Marvellous. But yes, and it's called, Organic Soil Association and all this type of stuff. So you got all this bit at the back there. So none of that's on the vintage ale. None of that. In fact, I'll just double check that. So many other Green King ones there, do I'm seeing Green King. Fillers. No, I don't have any fillers. So let's get that back out again. Just check to see if that's on the label. Because if that's the case, what bullshit's all that about then? You know, I just can't be bothered with the bollocks. So yeah, as you can see, there's none of that on the label. We'll just turn it down slowly for you. None of them symbols are there to do with organic soil or anything like that. None of it. So even they're supposed to be the premium ale isn't organic. So does it actually mean anything then? Does it make a difference? Because if that's your best kind of premium ale, is your vintage ales, that you're charging a heck of a lot more money for and everything else, then what's that about? So this just looks like it's a load of piss by the looks of it. So anyway, I've been ranting for 8 minutes now about this, but it's highlighting that at the end of the day, can you trust anybody? You know, and I'm disappointed with Fuller's going to go down that route, because you make good enough beers as it is. You don't need to start going through all this kind of bullshit and bollocks, you know, and basically kind of playing to the kind of Guardian reader crowd, you know what I mean? Yeah, ship it Waitrose and in the bag organic. But Fuller's have now basically, you know, understand where I am in this world and where I want to be, and now producing a lovely light sweet ale for me that's organic, and I can have it with my organic asparagus and Jerusalem artichoke hearts. No, I'm surprised he's not fucking vegan. Right, let's get this poured. Oh, interesting bit of news, by the way. I've got an Igulu coming next week. I've been waiting for this because I keep meaning to do some brewing videos. And I've got a plan about it. And my plan was also based on, you've got a kind of slightly kind of more kind of scaled down brewing option called the Pinter. And I've had Pinters before. They're all right. There's some issues and problems with them. So there is. I'm not too bad, but there's a Pinter brewing dock there. As you can just see there, a grey one. It's not with the black one, but anyway. You had the Pinter, which was a kind of a easy home brew system. All contains, again, what it does is you brew in there and that type of stuff, and then of course you can condition in there, and of course it has a tap, so you can then dispense it from there, or you can transfer it into bottles and do all that. But one of the major things, it only does 5 litres, so it only does about a gallon. So you can then basically, it's easy enough to fit in the fridge to cool down, and obviously if you want to cold crash and things like that. Problem is, they've always been really kind of played with kind of either design problems or manufacturing kind of issues where the thing isn't as robust. The taps were one of the big problems. It was leaking, and of course some of the kind of pressure release systems, they'd be leaking and things. So quite a lot of times you get spoiled brews, and I thought, well, I'll wait to see what the new one's like when the new one's coming out, which is, I think it was a Pinter 3. Because it was the Pinter 1, Pinter 2. Wait a minute here. Then I think it was the Pinter 1. Then you had the Pint. The heck's going on in that place? Fucking hell's pissing about outside. So yeah, the Pinter had, I think this is the 4th one now. Yeah, the Pinter 1, Pinter 2, Pinter 3, and then I think the new one's out now, the Pinter 4, I think it is. And I was waiting to see what that was like and see if that was any kind of better and things like that, because I'm trying to look at kind of the different options that people really have, because sometimes people just want an easy option and they might not want to make 40 pints in the one go, depending on maybe space restriction, or maybe they just don't drink enough, that they just don't feel that that's what. Or you might not want 40 pints of the one type of beer. You might think, well, I like a few different types of beers and things like that, so I don't want to be left with bloody 40 bottles of this, that and the other. From that point of view. So I was looking at other options in the Pinter. I thought, well, I can utilise that as in a kind of all-in-one type of scenario that's fairly affordable. But no, it's still got problems, and there's still basically issues with it. Now, I've noticed with people reporting that they've got the new one now, and yeah, they're still having issues or problems with the brews going wrong and getting spoiled and everything else. And so yeah, so I thought that was a bit of a kind of bugger. So I thought, right, I'll just do it normally then, and try and make it as uncomplicated as possible initially with the first couple of videos, just to kind of help people who want to get into homebrewing. But then I've seen that Igulu, and it's only launched in America just now, but eventually it will be launched. But they are shipping it abroad, so I managed to get one, and it's arriving next week. Now this is a more automated, but you can utilise it. It's not just for extract. This is a strange one because it actually uses LME and DME, which is liquid malt extract, and you can also use dry malt extract to actually create brews, and it can be fully automated if you want. It can do everything, control temperature and everything else, and cold crash for you, the whole lot. But you can also create your own wort from grain and everything else, and just use it as a kind of a high-end kind of fermenter. But what you can do, you can condition the beer in there, cold crash it, all that kind of stuff. And of course it has a tap, and they can dispense it, and you can also add CO2 to it, and you can also use its own air pump. But I'll explain all that when it comes. But it's a bit more of an advanced system, but not as expensive, because of course initially the price is in dollars, and I got 40% off for Father's Day, so I got it for quite a good price, and that's one of the reasons why I got it. So I will be doing some brewing videos. They will be coming up. Another thing I'm going to be doing as well, because I've got all these other kind of beers left over, we'll be buying multiples, and I'm going to get sick of them. So what I'm going to do is a couple of series looking at, you can, of course. It used to be more of a a tradition, especially in Victorian times, for pubs and also breweries as well, to basically blend beers. So you could have breweries blending beers to get different kind of products, and of course you also had pubs and landlords doing their own kind of beer blending to make beer more suitable for the patrons that frequent their area, that type of thing. So it kind of suits the kind of drinkers in their area and things like that. And there's some famous ones, but also there's ones that you don't seem to realise. There's a good example is Newcastle Brown. It's originally a blended beer. Guinness is a blended beer, funnily enough. So there you go. So what we're going to do was take some of these excess beers and do some blending and see if we can utilise them to kind of improve beers that are lacking and things like that, and see if you can basically get a little bit more bang for your buck, or improve some beers that are just not quite there or just kind of lacking, and see what we get. So as part of the brewing series, I'm going to be doing that because it also gives an idea of kind of flavour profiles and adjusting things to get where we want to be and trying to kind of get that balance. And then, of course, we can then kind of transfer that over towards actually brewing our own beers and what we can actually do to try and adjust the flavours and the balancing and everything else and things like that. And utilise different kind of techniques and ingredients and everything else. So I just didn't want to just do, a kind of homebrew series like everybody else does. I want to go there and offer something a little bit different. Something that's going to be about a bit more interesting. And at the end of the day, by doing this, I'm looking to learn some new things from it. And hopefully people who watch will learn some new things. So that's what I'm kind of planning to do. So there's a few different aspects there's going to be. So there's going to be beer blending, which also is a good thing as well, because sometimes the case is if you do a beer, like you brewed your home brew, and it's not so great, it's not turned out the way you want it, you think, oh, well, that's kind of piss. I've got bloody 40 pints of that piss. That's one of the problems of doing it, because if it goes wrong, you end up basically having a heck of a lot of bad beer. But there's a ways can you resurrect or save it by blending it and things like that. So again, that's another reason why doing it. So it's all kind of interconnected. But also, just out of curiosity, some people, even at home, people will have their own kind of blends that they like to do, taking a couple of beers and blending them together and making their own concoction that they enjoy better than the individual beers, So they seem to make something that more enjoyable than the sum of its parts, that type of thing. So, but anyway, we discussed a lot about that, and I'm sure you're probably getting very bored and thinking, well, what's this organic golden ale like? Well, let's smell it. People on the podcast, nice and clear, probably about half finger head. Smell wise, not much. Yeah, really, not much. It's quite devoid of any aromas. I'm getting a little bit of grain, not even getting malt, not getting any honey, no golden syrup, nothing, no hops, nothing. Just lacking. But anyway, let's see what it tastes like. Well, there's grain there. A little bit of sweetness there. Maybe slight little honey toads. Not really anything really. Did they say zesty or something? I wasn't really getting anything kind of zesty there. Did they say anything zesty? I did say sort of a delicious zesty edge. Not really. Not really. It's actually okay. It's not bags of flavour. Let's be totally honest. It's quite light. And I'm talking about flavour. Body wise seems to be fine. Malt level seems to be fine. You're getting a little bit kind of light, kind of golden syrupy sweetness. Nice bit of grain. So the front end's quite nice. Moves on to the mid tongue, and I just feel that there's not enough happening in the mid tongue. Get a little bit of kind of slightly kind of honey tones. I'm not really getting zesty. I'm getting slight fruit. Not getting anything floral, just getting ever so slight edge of fruit, ever so slight. But no. And at the back end, there's no real bitterness or anything like that. And yeah, I'm not getting any real zesty edge to it. Overall, it's just quite easy woozy. Yeah. I mean, it's an easy drinking beer, but yeah, just not got much flavour to it. So obviously the organic isn't really bringing much to the party. Yeah. And I do like a lot of Fuller's products, and I think they're quite an underrated beer because they really do brew some nice beers. Like I said, they might not be to your flavour profile or to your flavour liking, but you will appreciate by tasting it and thinking, well, it's maybe not my kind of flavours that I really kind of like and go for, but excuse me. But you do get a kind of appreciation to, yeah, well, it's a nicely brewed beer and it's got a nice balance to it and everything else. And this, it's nice enough and there's a decent bit of balance. I just feel there's nothing really there at the back end. It's not overly sweet, which is quite good from that point of view. So it doesn't really need the bitterness at the back end from that aspect. But it needs something just to kind of make it a bit more interesting in the mid tongue or even at the back end. It's just kind of lacking a bit. Which is a bit kind of surprising because usually Fuller's isn't really like that. I mean, it's like it's supposed to be a kind of more easy drinking ale. So it is, but yeah, just I wouldn't say it's up there with the usual kind of Fuller's kind of. Well, I don't think. I mean, when I'm tasting it, I'm not thinking, oh, this is kind of slightly cheap ingredients. I'm not getting that sensation. I'm thinking it's kind of easy drinking, but there's plenty of body there. So again, that's down to the quality ingredients. But what I feel is that you can't make a golden ale using honey to give you slightly honey tones and not have anything there to kind of back it up or give it any other kind of flavours. Because let's be totally honey flavours are quite subtle, and especially from a beer point of view, they're probably a bit too subtle. So you're going to need more than that. And this is coming from a guy that I drank quite a lot of Medovuka when I was in Russia, which is a kind of honey beer, and it is a honey beer, so it is Medovuka, and I know what honey beer's like and things like that, and yeah, you've got to come at it from a different angle if you're going to go down that route. So if you're making a more traditional kind of beer with the types of grains and the hops and everything else, then your honey's going to be slightly lost. It's not a robust enough flavour just to be kind of stand alone and still make the beer kind of interesting and kind of flavoursome. It's kind of lacking because of that. I think they're putting too much faith in the honey to provide enough flavour to kind of keep it going through the mid tongue, and it's not. It's just not. And the hops, I don't think it's a case of the hops are enough. No. I'll be totally honest, I'm getting more grain at the back end. I'm getting more grain and a slightly nuttiness at the back end than I'm getting anything to do with the hops, really. A little bit of bitterness there, but again, it's just it's a fleeting glance, really. It's just nowhere near enough. So yeah, for me, it just feels that it's kind of lacking in flavour. Which is fine. I suppose if it's ice cold and you're basically it's a hot summer's day at a barbecue, then yes, you can neck this like there's no tomorrow. But looking at the other options from Fuller's and everything else, it's just nowhere near. It's not as robust as any of the other ones that they do. It'll be interesting. Maybe that's why they're bringing out Griffin Gold. Maybe they feel that this just isn't really enough, and they've got to have a beer that's going to offer a bit more flavour, just a bit more to it from the golden side. Because that's a golden ale as well, so that's going to have two golden ales. So you've got the honeydew golden ale, and then of course you've got this gold Griffin that's been launched that I have ordered. So I've ordered some of it, but it's supposed to be kind of, they described it as marmalade. So it has marmalade, citrus, tropical, and pine. So that's what they've described the flavours are in this new beer that's been launched. And I'll be totally honest, marmalade, okay, I can live with that. Citrus, I suppose I. Tropical, pine, no. No, I'm not a big fan of pine. Pine, just no. I just don't want my beer to smell or taste of toilet cleaner. I'll be totally honest, it's just not for me. So I'm kind of dubious about that. So, but maybe they feel that it's a case as though that this just isn't robust enough to provide the kind of same kind of flavour intensities that people expect from Fuller's or used to getting from Fuller's. And maybe that's the case. But it also says that, well, your organic bit is a bit of a flop because there you go. It's your beer that's really kind of, you've telegraphed it as being organic, organic golden ale. It's everywhere, boom, boom, boom. It's all this kind of stuff in the back. But it's lacking flavour. And it's probably from my point of view, it's probably your worst beer. So there you go. It just shows you that's got your way. So what would I give this out of 10? It's an alright beer. Flavour wise, lacking. But it's not imbalanced. It's not offensive. It's not unpleasant. But it's not wonderful, and I feel just from a flavour point of view, it's just not up to the kind of standard you'd expect from Fuller's. So on that basis, there we go. What would I give this out of 10? It's not a bad beer, but it's nowhere near a good beer. And I'm going to just give it, I'm kind of toying between 4.5 and 5. I really am. It's easy drinking. Maybe it's different if I basically super chilled it and just treated it more as a kind of lager substitute, like say barbecues or things like that, or when I'm watching the football with pals or things like that. Just treat it as a lager substitute. That's not overly gassy. There's a better malt kind of ratio and everything else, and just overall it's just, a better option for me than a lager. So if I look at it that way, then okay, right, I'll give it a 5. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. But from a point of view of what we've come to expect from Fuller's, it is lacking, and I would say from my point of view, it's their worst beer. It just doesn't really have the flavour intensities of any of their other kind of offerings. And maybe that's down to their organic. Maybe that's probably why it's the case as though they've tried this as an experiment and it hasn't really worked. And it might be down to the relying on the organic side to try and build sales and relying on honey too much to try and kind of be the main kind of flavour profile, which just isn't robust enough. And maybe that's why they've just launched a new golden ale called Griffin Gold that apparently is packed with lots of hops. So anyway, it's 5%, 500ml. It's organic. It's a 5 out of 10. Would I recommend it? Well, it's up to you. But if I was going to buy from the Fuller's website, I would buy other things before this. So it's up to you. But I would rather have bought 16 bottles of even just London Pride or ESB or something like that than this. So there you go. So anyway, thanks for watching. Cheers and bye for now.